Hello, everybody. Um, I just wanted to have some extra time tonight, and I wanted to read a psalm real quick and give some thoughts about banning on social media, stuff like that. Uh, just what's on my mind. So, anyways, this is Psalm 100, short psalm, Psalm 100. Now, the psalm and the banning on social media have nothing to do with each other, so I don't think I'm about to use Psalm 100 to talk about this, but this is Psalm 100. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know ye that the Lord he is God. It is he that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him, and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. God bless his word. Um, like I talked about the other day when I did a psalm, if you really want to get into reading the Bible, I would start with the Psalms. You do a couple of Psalms. If you have the Bible app, that's the easiest way to do it to keep track of where you're at. You don't, and you can move the dates around if you mess up or miss a day or whatever. If you're like me and you miss a day all the time, but you can do it on the app and you do like five Psalms a day. It takes usually like maybe 10 minutes, And if you're in the car, you can listen to it in the car. That's the important part about having devotion time. You need to pray, but you just need to hear the word. You need to hear the word. Uh, so, anyways, I suggest reading the Psalms and Proverbs to get you started, and then the more you go, the more you start reading and all of that. You can end up reading a lot of scripture during the day, and it can really change your day. Uh, anyways, I also want to share some thoughts about what's going on with all the social media banning uh, and stuff like that. Specifically with Donald Trump, I mean, Grace Bond Ministries. I mean, as small as I am, somebody if Mark Zuckerberg for some reason decided I'm going to go check out Grace Bond Ministries, some of the things I say, some of the things I talk about, they could easily say, easily ban us, ban Grace Pump Ministries too. But it's kind of crazy with Trump being banned from social media. I understand why he did it. So let me just be honest. I'm torn. I'm torn between if I actually support them banning Trump or not. Banning Trump. Well, it's not just Facebook. Of course, Zuckerberg. He owns Facebook and Instagram. But Twitter is its own separate thing, and from my knowledge, Twitter he's been banned from Twitter too. Which it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop what Trump was saying, and people are going to say what Trump's going to say anyways on his behalf. But uh, it's just crazy. So on one hand, I see what they're saying. You got some guy, and to liberals seem to take things a little different, at least than me. I don't know. The radical. I don't like just saying liberals or Democrats or just saying the word Republican because we have radicals left and right. I mean, radical people, and so some of the people are just so radical that they look at Trump like he's the leader of ISIS or something, and he's going to get on here and he's calling all these people to attack and all this stuff. Uh, but the bottom line is, hold on, let me say why I think I could support it, uh, and then I'll talk about why I think I don't support it. So I think I could support it, because they look at it like that, like it's some extreme thing. Uh, but I mean, it just doesn't seem like. I mean, Trump. Sure, Trump probably says some things that he doesn't have the strongest evidence for and all that stuff, like the election being rigged and all that. I mean, I talked about that before. I'm not going to get into that again, but uh, he's saying stuff like that, and he's just spitting out stuff that's making people angry and ready to fight. Now, granted, right now with the race tensions between BLM and what they've done to cities. The BLM movement, there's the statement Black Lives Matter, and then there's the BLM movement, which is completely corrupted and has satanic things in it. But that's neither here nor there. But the tensions in the country right now. Now, granted, a lot of that comes from Trump. From him being there. If Pence, Pence kind of carries himself a lot better than Trump does. Even if Pence was the president, uh, or if I was the president, and I mean, I'm not perfect with my words, but I feel like I'm a lot better than Trump with my words and talking to people and dealing with people that disagree with me or whatever. Uh, it, there's a certain point where they wouldn't like me just because of my beliefs. It would have nothing to do with how I talk to people or nothing like that. And it would still cause tension. I've been in some very tense situations, and I've upset some people sometimes with not because of how I treated them. Sometimes because of how I treated them, but not really because of how I treated them, but just because of what I believe. Uh, so, anyways, I'm torn on that sense where I could see why they did it, and just to show the world that hey, we're not putting up with this, the way he talks and all that. But on the other side, I lean more this way right now. I don't think it was necessary, especially Trump. He got on the news and told those people to back off and all that stuff. And Trump has never called for violent acts, like some BLM leaders. It's just so weird comparing the two, but you kind of have to in these situations because that's what everybody's doing. But in some of those situations, they really were calling for action. They were calling to attack people. I remember one guy. He was one of the BLM activist leaders, and he was calling people to attack churches. He said, "We're going to take down these white churches," and there's stuff like that going on. And Trump really wasn't doing that. Trump was just, saying his beliefs, and it was making people angry, and it was upsetting people or whatever, just because of the way he talks, you know. So I just don't think it's necessary for him to be banned because he's just sharing his beliefs. If people get angry, they get angry. That's not really Trump's fault. It's more it does come down to Trump and the words he speaks and all, but it's the people's fault. I mean, people are angry. People are upset about what's going on. And granted, some of it's not because Trump's trying to start a war or Trump's trying to start. He's trying to get a military, his own personal military up and running. It's just because he's sharing his thoughts and he's a little stubborn sometimes and all that. Um, but here's the biggest thing to me about this whole situation is that these guys and they may not admit it to the public, and I'm sure they're not really hiding it, but they're Democrats and they're not banning all these people who, especially during the last few months when BLM was booming and all that, they weren't banning any of those people who were encouraging those riots. I even had people on my Facebook who were saying, if I, if somebody if a cop killed my brother, I'd be burning down a city too. I'm like, come on now, like stuff like that. They're not going to take down a post like that, or you're not going to ban somebody that says something like that. Then don't ban Donald Trump for not saying something like that and just saying his beliefs. You know, and not to mention the BLM leaders. I mean, are literally calling for action. They were calling for military action or terroristic action and stuff. I mean, that's what's just crazy to me. It's just so inconsistent, and that's where I feel for a lot of people that side with me politically, it's that they're specifically attacking the conservatives. They're specifically attacking the Republicans. Um, and that's where it's upsetting me, and it's upsetting a lot of people. Because I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, I mean that dude, I mean he's not Republican, and even if Trump didn't have any, if he was perfect, but all he had was just his beliefs, people would still say a lot of the same things about him, you know. And even I personally, like I said, I personally try to make sure my character is in line, so that way people have nothing bad to say about me except for what I believe in the Bible and things like that. They can't talk about me personally because they won't have anything to say. That's the goal. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect at it, but that's the goal. And so people like Mark Zuckerberg, or I mean, he could ban me for the same, just because I'm standing up against some things or whatever. And it's really because, and it's not because he's trying to do the right thing or whatever. He's probably just as mad as Trump as all the Democrats are. And a lot of people are mad at Trump right now, but he's just as mad and really mad, and he's trying to make himself look good to this mob, this mass of people who want people to attack Donald Trump. and attack Republicans. I mean, it's not just Donald Trump. It's, all Republicans are being attacked. So that's what's frustrating to me and frustrating to a lot of people. And I know people like Michael Brown. Man, he's got a pretty big platform, and he does podcasts and videos and stuff every day. And he says some stuff, and I'm like, man, the most of the world would call this guy, and he's actually on the list with some people that he really shouldn't be on the list with, because he's very calm, he's very collected, and he just has some beliefs that aren't popular. And he's had posts that have been, taken down and stuff like that. And people like him are going to start getting banned. And he's not malicious. He tells people all the time, we are not to take up violence. And the reason that somebody like him is going to get banned is not because he's calling people to violent actions. It's because of his beliefs, and it's because this huge mob that for some reason I put it all on Satan, because Satan's got a lot more power than people give credit for, especially for the people who aren't Christian. But Satan's got this power. He can just convince people. He can push. I mean, this mob is pushing. This mobocracy is just pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's trying to just push conservatives and Republicans and Christianity even out of the way, just push it to the side. That's what they're trying to do, and sadly, they're pretty successful. And the reason is that nobody wants to get sued. Nobody wants to get sued. Like even in, like, my jobs and other people's jobs. If you speak up against homosexuality, you could get fired, for not, whatever, being offensive or whatever. And for instance, I knew there was Michael Brown was talking about somebody he knew. He worked high up in a bank, and they just asked everybody, "Do you support homosexuality uh, or abortion or one of those issues?" And they didn't fire people right off the bat, but if you answered yes, they just started. He said they just started easing people out, pushing people out slowly, in a way where they didn't have to do it like a snap of a finger firing. They did it over time, and basically convinced people they were getting fired for other reasons. And it's crazy what they're trying to do. And so it's understandable. I'm probably more so in the camp that Donald Trump should not have been banned. He's not calling for military action. He's getting people angry about things that people probably should be angry about in the first place. But he's just sharing his thoughts, sharing his mindset, and he's the president of the United States. Even now that he's lost the election, he's still the president of the United States, and he will go down in history as a president of the United States. So I think he needs a little more respect than that, even if he talks and acts the way he does. He's still the president of the United States, and people need to accept that. And Republicans need to accept that Joe Biden is the president of the United States. So anyways, that's my thoughts on that. And if you're discouraged by that, just go back and read the beginning. Just listen to Psalm, and just shut the video off after that. Don't go back and listen to the rest of it. But hey, listen, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, or anything, leave a comment. Email gracebombministries@gmail.com. Let me know. Thanks for watching, though, and hopefully, this gave you some thoughts to think about from both sides. Why people are saying that Trump should have been banned, and why people are saying he shouldn't have been banned, and stuff like that. Uh, but me personally, in summary, me personally, I feel like if you're going to ban Trump, there's a whole other list of people that are leading. Basically anybody that all these people in the BLM movement who have said all these things and calling people to action, calling people to military action. Anybody that supported, these riots in the street where they were breaking into cities and stuff. And I've seen people group together on my Facebook trying to set up a place and a time to go bust up into buildings and stuff and rob places during these riots. I mean, it's just crazy. So if you're going to ban Trump for what he's doing, you need to ban all these other people for what they're doing. You know, and I think they need to be consistent. And so a lot of people, I'm guessing now, there's going to be a completely different platform that conservatives are going to start using, and there's going to be a completely different platform that Democrats are going to start using. You have a little bit of people in between and all, but it's just crazy. It's just crazy what's happening. So, all right. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Also, don't be discouraged by this. What happens in politics stays in politics, but God is still on the throne, no matter what, and things are about to get a little crazy. But I'm hoping and praying and pleading with God that He helps things just calm down a little bit, so we don't have a civil war in this country. But God bless and good night.